How's it going, everybody? This is Dominic Minchella. I am the Kansas City Chiefs co-beat writer for On SI and the host of the Kansas City Chiefs Insider Podcast. Thank you guys so much for stopping in today, as today is the big day. If you are watching this as soon as it comes out, whether you are listening, watching, regardless, today is the day, week 4. Kansas City Chiefs will host their AFC rivals, the Baltimore Ravens, in Arrowhead Stadium, a game that really has a lot of implications on whether or not which team takes a step forward or takes a step backwards. If you're the Chiefs, you're coming fresh off of your first victory of the season against the New York Giants on the road. You've played at home already this year. You lost in the Super Bowl 59 rematch to the Philadelphia Eagles. You are back in Arrowhead. You have a chance to make things right, send your folks home happy with the victory, but it is not an easy task. Baltimore is one of those teams that I have seen several times talked about this offseason and throughout the regular season thus far as a team who doesn't need this victory as much as Kansas City because of the skill level that they do have. There's some people who have projected the Ravens to come out of the AFC and represent the conference in the Super Bowl. I saw some predictions way before the season even begun. But now you're talking about one team's going to fall to 1-3, the other's going to move to 2-2. There's a lot riding on this game. If you're the Kansas City Chiefs, especially on the offensive side of the ball, your hope is that Patrick Mahomes doesn't have to do the entirety of the work. He currently leads the franchise this season in rushing yards in less than 20 carries, that is. He also has a lot of passing yards, and he's looked really good doing so without some primary wide receivers in Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice. Now, as we know, Rashee Rice will return come week 7, but Mahomes will have some reassurance in the receiving room, knowing and hoping that it looks like Xavier Worthy is fresh and ready to go to try and help send Arrowhead Stadium into a frenzy, getting this Chiefs team a victory, bringing their season even for the first time. But it's going, like I said, it's going to be a tall task. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about my prediction of what needs to go right for the Kansas City Chiefs to win on all cylinders, whether it be offense, special teams, defense, all of it. And then I will give you a true prediction. Well, first off, as I just stated, the Chiefs need to have an offensive presence that isn't just resided in Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes has been the backbone for this team, and honestly, he's been doing too much. He's been in playoff form, Mahomes, as they like to say, early into the season, because that just, well, first off, it just shows how much that these games mean to him, which is a lot. Every single win in the National Football League, every single week counts. You need to win as much as possible. Mahomes knows that. But if he can't rely on, say, the run game with Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, both trading off carries and not going very far, he has the ability that God gifted him as a very skillful athlete to take the football and move it downfield without releasing it with his legs. We've seen it already this year. We've seen it a lot last year, but he's also going up against one of the best rushing quarterbacks in the National Football League in Baltimore Ravens QB Lamar Jackson. However, if this is the perfect time for the Kansas City Chiefs to knock off the Ravens, it's now. Because coming off of their last week loss to the Detroit Lions, the Ravens that is, they played very poorly. They still scored 30 points. 30 points. The Chiefs have yet to score 30 points this season. That's an area that they still have to be careful with. This is still an offense in Baltimore that the defense has to take seriously. But overall, according to Pro Football Focus, they earned a 50.5 overall grade. The best portion of their grade was receiving, and that just worked with how well of a passer Lamar Jackson is. Their defense, however, flopped. 31.1 defensive grade overall. The run defense was a low 27.4. Tackles was 57.1. Coverage was 47.6. That's the air right there. If the Chiefs are going to be able to win this game, they have to make sure, the offense that is, has to have their first real explosive game of the season. Now, I know that they just won against the New York Giants 22-9, but it's the New York Giants. No disrespect to Giants fans. It's just when you're talking about the Giants and the Eagles and the Chargers and the Ravens in the same conversation, they're easily at the bottom of where they currently sit. No disrespect. I know that they've got a high and upcoming quarterback in Jackson Dart, who hopefully will take them to the stratosphere to make them feel a little bit more comfortable, the fans that is, about their franchise. But this scoring 22, that would, against the Giants, I would say that is a given. Going out and putting up 20 or more points against the Baltimore Ravens, I think that there's a world that you're going to have to do so if you're going to want to win. This Chiefs defense this season has been a tad spotty. Last week, to be specific, though, they did have the best defense they did all year with a 79.8 PFF grade. However, going up against the likes of the Chargers and the Eagles, they had a good defensive grade of 70.7, but they struggled against the Chargers. Baltimore, one area that the Chiefs are going to have to do really well in is coverage. If the coverage isn't there, I find this matchup leaning a lot towards Baltimore. There's a lot of things that kind of have to go right. And if you're going to the stadium in the morning and getting ready to root on this team, you better be loud. Because without things, the Chiefs Kingdom, without things going perfectly or semi-perfectly for this Kansas City Chiefs squad, I do fear that there is a world where they will fall 1-3, depending on how they use Xavier Worthy, depending on if one of the running backs, whether that be Mahomes or any of either Pacheco or Hunt, can rush the ball and actually have some explosive gains, whether Tyquan Thornton can continue his success, whether Hollywood Brown can tap in to that revenge that he wants to seek on his former franchise. He was a former first-round pick by Baltimore. All of these things, they have to be electric coming out of the locker room. They have to be focused on the field. When the halftime whistle blows, they have to refocus when they get back onto the field. It's going to be a battle. I think that this one comes very close. If there is a world where Kansas City does win, I could say it could finish around 31-29 either way. I do think Kansas City has a way of winning this game, but if they don't do those things correctly, if they don't show themselves as a true threat in the AFC conference by beating one of the biggest juggernauts there is to offer. I know it's early in the season. The Chiefs cannot afford to keep falling down in the pecking order while the Los Angeles Chargers or the Denver Broncos or the Las Vegas Raiders have the chance to capitalize and make some ground in that division. Chiefs are chasing a 10th straight AFC West division title, and it is really on the line if you think about it in this game. A lot for the rest of the season will dictate how it goes depending on how this result is. But with that, I want to know your final prediction for the Kansas City Chiefs. Be sure you follow me over on X at Dom Minchella. I post and repost every single day. You're not going to want to miss any coverage of the Kansas City Chiefs while they get into their Week 4 affair, as well as throughout the regular season. You could also follow us over at KC Chiefs on SI over on X. You can also follow us, the same links and the same name on Facebook. All of our content exclusively free for you. Columns, opinions, articles, podcasts. Kansas City Chiefs on SI is the place to get your Kansas City Chiefs news. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, here's to week 4. Have a good one. Be kind to one another. And I'll see you tomorrow recapping the game and what went down.